Have you ever gotten that creepy feeling, like someone's watching you when you're all alone on a dark road at night? I never thought a simple drive home would turn into something straight out of a nightmare. It was just me, my car, and this empty stretch of highway under the pitch-black sky. Then suddenly, this huge truck showed up behind me, way too close, and moving like it meant business. I didn't dare look over. But when that spotlight hit my windshield, it felt like it was searching for something. What it wanted, I still can't say. If you were me, would you have the guts to look back, or would you just try to get away as fast as you could? This is a true night drive horror story, so keep watching to know what happened next, and to find out if I could make it out alive. But before we start, don't forget to hit subscribe or follow so you'll never miss our next terrifying episode. If you're enjoying our content, please give us a like, drop a comment, and share this video to help us reach 500 likes. Also, follow us on our social media platforms for the latest updates. Thank you all for being part of this journey with me. And now, let's dive into the darkness together. In December 2015, I was a university student in my early 20s, heading home for winter break. My journey took me southbound across the heart of the Midwest, and that particular night, I was driving down a long stretch of highway through rural Kentucky. It was just after 11:30 p.m. when I found myself on Route 69 near the outskirts of Laurel Ridge, an area not far from Mammoth Basin National Park, and miles away from any real signs of life. The road was eerily empty. No cars in either direction for what seemed like ages. I was about an hour out from the small city where I'd booked a hotel for the night, the last stop before I'd continue home the next day. I remember fiddling with my phone to change the music, trying to stay alert on the monotonous highway. That's when I noticed something strange in my rearview mirror, the faint glow of headlights. An 18-wheeler was slowly gaining on me from behind. At first I didn't think much of it, just a late-night trucker on the road like me. But when it pulled up beside me in the center lane, something felt off. Instead of passing like a normal vehicle, the truck matched my speed exactly. Then, without warning, a glaring spotlight switched on from the side of the truck, shining directly into my car. The harsh beam lit up my cabin and face like a stage performance. I was stunned. Never had I seen a truck do this. The light stayed on for what felt like forever, though it was probably only a minute. I kept my eyes locked forward, refusing to acknowledge the attention. Creeped out, I eased off the gas, hoping the truck would just move along. Eventually, the driver turned off the spotlight and pulled ahead, slipping into the right lane in front of me. Trying to put some space between us, I dropped back even more and shifted into the far left lane. That's when the truck did it again. It swerved into the center lane, now driving parallel to me, and the spotlight came on, this time directly illuminating the passenger side of my vehicle. My skin crawled. I didn't dare look over. It felt like engaging with the driver would escalate things. My mind scrambled for an explanation. Was this some twisted prank? Or was the driver trying to intimidate me for some reason? The truck soon pulled back in front of me again, this time in the leftmost lane. Desperate to get away, I moved behind it and slid into the far right lane, accelerating slightly to pass. Just as I thought I was putting distance between us, I noticed the truck matching my speed again, then speeding up. That was the final straw. I floored the accelerator, pushing my small car to 90 miles per hour, the fastest I'd ever driven. I managed to gain about a mile's distance between us. For a moment, I thought I had escaped. Then I checked my mirror. Lit dramatically by the overhead lights of a nearby highway overpass, the massive orange truck surged forward, eating up the distance with terrifying speed. It was gaining again, fast. Panic rose like a flood inside me. The truck pulled up beside me for the third time, spotlight now blazing into my window once more. I stared straight ahead, my breath shaky, my knuckles white on the wheel. I couldn't outrun it, but maybe I could outmaneuver it. I suddenly slammed on the brakes and dropped behind the truck, slipping into its blind spot in the center lane. The truck jerked to the right, trying to keep me in its view, but I stayed tucked behind, hidden. That's when I saw it, a highway exit ramp approaching on the right. This was my chance. I waited until the last possible moment, until the back of the truck had passed the exit, and then darted sharply off the highway. Tires squealed. My heart pounded. But I made it off the interstate before the driver could react. I pulled into a fast food parking lot just off the exit, a Wendy's, still open and glowing under flickering neon. I parked, jumped out of the car, and inspected it. Maybe, I thought, maybe this was all some weird warning. Maybe the driver saw something wrong with my car. Nothing. Everything was fine. I sat there for a while in the lot, watching the road. The truck never came down the exit. Maybe they didn't see me leave the highway. Maybe they didn't care. Eventually, when I felt calm enough, I got back onto the interstate and made it to my hotel. I didn't sleep well that night, and when it came time to return to school weeks later, I made sure to take a completely different route, one that had nothing to do with Route 69 or that stretch near Mammoth Basin. Whatever that driver's intent was, whether it was to scare me, stalk me, or something worse, I knew deep in my bones that night could have ended very differently. In the chilly January of 1992, 19-year-old Samantha Lee was a senior at Pinewood High School in East Texas. With her voluminous curly blonde hair, striking blue eyes, and bold taste in accessories, Samantha had quickly become a well-known figure at school. After moving from a small town in Louisiana to live with her mother and stepfather in Pinewood, she adapted fast, making friends easily, and starting a turbulent on-again, off-again relationship with a young man named Jason Reed. Her life seemed to be on a smooth track, but no one could have predicted the dark turn fate had in store for her. On January 5, 1992, Samantha finished her shift at Video World, the local video rental store in downtown Pinewood. It was around 8:30 p.m. when she locked up for the night and prepared to drive to a nearby bank to make the night deposit, a routine responsibility entrusted to her by her manager. Security footage from the bank showed that someone made the deposit, but the video was grainy, revealing only a glimpse of an arm inside a car, too vague to confirm the identity as Samantha. After saying goodbye to her manager Mark, who left in his pickup truck, Samantha was last seen entering her pale blue sedan, dressed casually in cut-off denim shorts, a dark purple sweater with gold trim, and worn brown loafers. However, Samantha never made it home. She failed to contact any friends or family, causing her mother to become deeply concerned. In the early hours of the next morning, her stepfather joined the local police search efforts and soon discovered Samantha's abandoned car in the parking lot behind Video World. The car was intact, except for one tire, which had been slashed. Inside lay Samantha's belongings untouched. Her purse, phone, and personal items remained. But Samantha herself was nowhere to be found, vanished without a trace, taking only her car keys. At first glance, the circumstances baffled investigators. It seemed like a cold case waiting to happen, but local law enforcement committed to unraveling the mystery. Sergeant Thomas Gray led the investigation, questioning everyone involved. The first person to come under scrutiny was Mark, Samantha's manager and the last person to see her alive. However, Mark's multiple alibis checked out, and he successfully passed several lie detector tests, ruling him out as a suspect. The search stretched on, involving hundreds of officers and local volunteers who scoured nearby woods and roads, but no clues emerged. Despite numerous tips, Samantha remained missing. Attention soon turned to a teenager named Michael Willis, who was previously arrested for vandalizing tires in the area. Though Michael had a troubled past, police found no evidence linking him to the slashing of Samantha's tire or her disappearance. The focus then shifted to Samantha's boyfriend, Jason Reed. Known for a quick temper, the couple had been fighting recently, which made him a person of interest. Still, after extensive investigation and circumstantial evidence, Jason was cleared of any wrongdoing. A darker rumor began to circulate. Whispers of a secretive cult operating in Pinewood, allegedly involved in satanic rituals and abuse. These rumors implicated several locals, including some members of law enforcement, which led many to dismiss the claims outright as paranoia or hysteria. However, in 1994, the town was rocked by a series of indictments against multiple residents on charges of child abuse, kidnapping, and even murder related to ritualistic practices. The accusations brought the Kerr family into the spotlight. The Kerrs were a notorious clan in the area, known for their troubled history. Eugene and Geneva Kerr, the family's matriarch and patriarch, had a history of severe abuse toward their children. Geneva, in particular, was rumored to have a deep interest in occult practices, including reading from dark texts and allegedly participating in animal and human sacrifices. One of the Kerrs' daughters-in-law eventually came forward to police, claiming she had been enslaved and tortured by the family for a decade, deprived of freedom, and threatened constantly. Amidst this chaos, the investigation suggested that Samantha had been abducted by the Kerr family and subjected to horrific abuse for days before being ritually murdered and cannibalized. Some testimonies claimed she was a gift for Geneva Kerr, who delighted in her suffering. Yet many of these accusations were later revealed to be coerced or fabricated under pressure from investigators desperate for a breakthrough. It was alleged that some of the Kerr children were manipulated into telling stories the police wanted to hear, turning the case into what some called a modern witch hunt. The scandal ruined careers, divided families, and led to years of legal battles. The Texas Attorney General eventually dismissed all charges related to satanic cult activity, concluding there was no credible evidence supporting the dark claims. Despite the turmoil and tragedy, Samantha's fate remains a mystery. Her disappearance continues to haunt Pinewood, and although she is presumed dead, her body has never been found. No clear answers exist, only the chilling silence of a girl who vanished into the night, and a community forever shadowed by suspicion, fear, and unanswered questions. It was close to 2 a.m. when I began the long drive home from Liam's house. He lived in a really isolated area, out past the last gas station, through sprawling farmland, and down a road barely lit by flickering telephone pole lights. I was exhausted and had even debated just crashing on his couch, but I had an early shift the next morning. Calling out wasn't an option. The drive stretched over an hour, and the deeper I got into the countryside, the quieter the world became. I had music playing low just to keep my brain occupied and my eyelids from drooping. The road was completely empty, surrounded by endless fields. About 20 minutes into the drive, my high beams caught something directly ahead. I instinctively hit the brakes hard. Sitting dead center in the road was a suitcase. Upright, zipped, and seemingly untouched. I just stared at it, trying to process it through my foggy brain. Who loses a suitcase out here? And how does it land like that? I didn't want to get out and move it. I veered into the opposite lane to go around it, thinking maybe it fell off someone's trailer or truck and bounced into that upright position. Weird, but not impossible. Still, it left a weird feeling in my gut. Not long after, maybe 5 minutes, I saw something else in the road. A truck. This time, completely stopped in the center of my lane. No hazard lights, no brake lights, not even the faint red glow of taillights. If I hadn't had my high beams on, I might have slammed right into it. I came to a complete stop and waited, thinking maybe someone had broken down. I honked twice, no response. I leaned to look through the back window, but it was too dark to see anything clearly. The truck just sat there, as if abandoned mid-ride. After half a minute, I slowly edged into the other lane to pass it. As I did, my headlights grazed the side of the truck. It had dents, deep ones, and long scratches across the side. Old or new, I couldn't tell. But it didn't feel right. What unsettled me even more was the complete lack of anyone inside. No one in the driver's seat, not even a silhouette. I pulled ahead and got back into my lane, slowing down again and glancing out at the fields. It was still just flat, empty farmland in every direction. Why would someone just leave a damaged truck like that in the middle of nowhere? Something felt very off, and that low thrum of unease was starting to build into full-on dread. I didn't want to be on that road anymore. Just as I shook the image from my head, I had to slam on my brakes for the third time. This time, it was a person. He stood directly in my lane, waving both arms in the air. He looked to be in his 40s, unkempt with messy hair and ragged clothing. His hands and forearms were scraped up and his expression was strange, almost too casual for someone flagging down a car on a desolate road. I rolled my window down just a little, enough to hear him. "Hey, did you see a truck a few miles back?" he asked, his voice friendly, almost too friendly. I said yes, still gripping the steering wheel tightly. "Mind giving me a lift back there?" Before responding, I asked him why it was parked there and what he was doing out here. Completely fair questions under the circumstances, right? He hesitated, then gave a flimsy explanation. Ran out of gas. Was walking to find a station. But then, why was he asking me to take him back to the truck? Shouldn't he want a ride to the gas station instead? He kept talking, rambling really, trying to keep my attention on his voice and not on the logic that didn't add up. I started to think of an excuse, fumbling for words. That's when my eyes drifted behind him, toward the fields. Something was there, hidden in the tall corn just off the shoulder of the road. The taillight, dimly reflecting the light from my headlights. A car, parked deep in the crops. And from what I could make out, it looked like it hadn't been there long. Something about it felt wrong, like a trap, like something terrible had already happened. I rolled up the window, fast. His face changed instantly. That friendly mask dropped. He pounded on the glass and started screaming, wild-eyed and furious. I floored it, leaving him behind as I sped down the dark road, heart racing. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and called the police. I gave them as accurate a description as I could. Location, truck, man, everything. Later, I found out what they discovered. The truck was gone by the time they got there. But the car I had seen in the crops, still there. And the scene inside was worse than anything I had imagined. Someone else had picked him up, another driver. Probably thought he was helping a stranded motorist. That person never made it out alive. It wasn't a car accident, not even close. It looked like the hitchhiker had killed them. No one knows why. The suitcase, the abandoned truck, all likely staged, part of some twisted plan to bait someone into stopping. I came within a few feet of letting him into my car, just like the last person did. The man was never identified, never caught. If you've made it to the end of this video, let me know in the comments which story creeped you out the most. And if you could survive only one of these stories, which one would it be? Also, drop "I made it" and mention our channel in the comments below. I want to know who my loyal followers are so I can give you a shout out in our next videos. And lastly, if you want to support AG Horrors and help us keep creating even more spine-chilling content, check out our Patreon or Ko-fi. Your support keeps the scares coming and means the world to us. Don't forget to like, share, and catch up on our previous episodes. And now, stay tuned for the next horror episode.